Hey, I'm Srini, the creator of Maximize Your Output with Mem. Have you ever wished you had an assistant who was super smart, who could plan projects for you, prepare you for meetings, and even generate valuable insights from all the knowledge you have? Well, in this video, what I'm going to do is show you how you can apply templates to your MemChat requests to do exactly that. Now, let's get to the tutorial.
What we're going to go over in this video is how to create and access different types of templates and then apply those templates to your requests that you make to MemChat. So when and why would we want to create a template? I think that the best use cases for templates are situations where the content changes, but the process doesn't. So for example, when you publish a blog post, you probably have a handful of things that you do that are the same every time. You have an outline for the blog post, you have a checklist of things that you need to complete. And templates not only help you not reinvent the wheel 100 times, but they're actually a big part of avoiding errors in the process. And you effectively outsource the surrounding activities or ancillary activities of publishing something like a blog post to your second brain in Mem. So that's where templates become very useful. But they go beyond that, especially when you start to use MemChat for interacting with your templates. So let's first talk about the 3 different methods that you can use to create templates in Mem. The first is that you can actually just take a regular Mem and convert it into a template. The second is you can actually ask MemChat to help you create a template. And the third is to go into Flows and create a template. So let's go over the very first one. So I have an example here, and funny enough, I actually had MemChat come up with this template for me as I was having a conversation with it about how I could get more out of each of my podcast interviews. And you can see here that there are a couple of different things with this template. It's formatted in a specific way, so you can actually format templates however you want and have headers, subheaders, and bullets inside of that template. Now, in this case, what we're going to do is we are going to turn this meta learning template for podcast interviews into a template here inside of Flows. And you can see here that it basically has this title. In a lot of cases, the title becomes somewhat unnecessary. I would keep your title of your template that will eventually become a new mem here. And now we're just going to save this template. Now you'll see here that it actually gives you an option to delete the original mem, which I think is actually beneficial because it allows you to keep the template, but instead of having your knowledge base get cluttered with a template mem as well as a template here, we can just delete the original mem and we can access that template whenever we want. Now, let's go back to our tutorial and talk about how we could ask MemChat to create a template for us. Depending on what your needs are, it really can create a template for anything. But what we're going to do in this case is we're going to have it just create a very simple meeting notes template for us. And what I'm going to just go in here and do is say, create a meeting notes template for my meetings with clients. And what you'll see here is it will then give us a template that we can then copy and paste into Flows just the way we saved our mems. And what you'll see here is that it's actually giving you objectives and agenda, all of that. So in a lot of ways, a template like this can actually help make your meetings much more efficient. So in this case, what we would do is we're going to copy and paste this. Now, this is another one of those funky MemChat things where the formatting isn't coming through all the time. So in this case, what we do is we'd go back to Flows, we'd click here on templates, and we're going to click create template. And you can see here that it actually comes in looking funny. So what you want to do in this case is just paste and match style. And you'll have to just go through and modify this so that the formatting sticks. But other than that, it's pretty much going to be just like using the Mem text editor and going in and fixing all of these things. So in the interest of time, I'm not going to turn all of these things into bullets, but I'm just going to go ahead and create this. And we're going to call this our client meeting template. There's also one other way that you could utilize templates. Let's say, for example, you have a standing meeting that happens all the time. What we could then do is we could actually create a template that is scheduled and will show up in your inbox. So you can see here that I actually have a Second Brain weekly review template that gets added to my inbox every Sunday at 2 a.m. because that's when I tend to do my reviews, not at 2 a.m., but I do them on Sunday mornings. And so it ends up showing up in my inbox. So we could do that, for example, if you had a standing meeting. So now that you have seen how these templates are created, what we're going to do is we're going to apply these different templates to MemChat. So let me show you each of these templates first so you can see how this all works. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open up Flows, and I'm going to open up my templates, and I want to show you the different templates that we're going to apply. So one of the templates that we're going to apply is going to be our new landing page template. And this is a template that I just created for myself based on an online course that I've taken. So we're going to apply this template to a landing page for a course. And the next template that we're going to use, and this template came from Tiago Forte's book, Building a Second Brain, is our new product launch or project launch template. And so you'll see here that it has project kickoff tasks, and it basically will help me to answer some of these questions. And the last thing I'm going to show you is a much more advanced strategy for using templates, which is the sticky headlines template. So this is based on a book called Made to Stick. The Made to Stick principles are basically 6 different principles that allow us to make our ideas sticky and memorable. If you remember, the whole idea of the iPod was 1,000 songs in your pocket. And that was so concrete and so memorable that it actually is one of the examples that they use throughout the book. So what I wanted to do was build a system that would allow me to create my own version of 1,000 songs in your pocket, but I needed it to be something that I could use in a way that was a bit more quantitative. So I basically had MemChat come up with this scoring system to analyze different headlines. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take each one of these templates and we're going to make a request to MemChat to help us use these templates. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have MemChat plan my birthday party. And why I love this is because of the fact that it takes a lot of the grunt work for doing things like planning projects. We don't have to sit here and type up everything. It will actually come up with even the success criteria for us. And you can see here that it's coming up with some pretty clever and interesting things. And now we have this template here. One thing to note is when you get longer output, you'll see here that it actually gives you this format in Markdown. But in this case, what we're going to do is just leave that there. But you can basically just copy it and format it the same way we did when we were creating the templates. But you can see here, it took the template that was in my new projects template, and it actually generated an entire project plan in about 10 seconds. So now let's do one more template. What we're going to do is we're going to apply this landing page template and have it write a sales page for my course on generative AI for creatives. And again, you'll see that it actually says exactly what it's going to do. So it's using all of the things that are in that template. And you can see here that it's actually even outlining the course modules, and it's come up with the call to action. So the interesting thing about this is that it's all dependent on the quality of the data that you input. So your prompt matters, but the other thing that matters a lot is the amount of knowledge in your knowledge base. The only reason it's able to do things like this is because of the sheer volume of knowledge that I have inside of Mem. And even if you don't have thousands of notes inside of Mem, don't worry about that for now. It will still work. But the more that you capture inside of Mem, the more powerful these capabilities will become. For the last example, what I want to do is show you how you can take a mental model of some sort, and you can even use chat to help you come up with and design these mental models. So in this case, we're going to take my sticky headlines template, which is basically just a model for analyzing how sticky a template is. And so in this case, I basically wanted this to be a potential tagline for the Unmistakable Creative Podcast. So we're just going to take this prompt and we're going to put it inside of MemChat, and we're going to ask MemChat to analyze how sticky this headline is based on the scoring system we came up with inside of the template. So in this case, it's actually doing a pretty good job of feeding my ego, but you notice that it gave me a 25 out of 30, which isn't bad. But the cool thing is that it even came up with this scoring system. So you'll see here that it says it could be potentially improved by making the emotional appeal and story more explicit. And the funny thing is, we can ask it to revise the headline based on that if we wanted to. Just to recap this video, there are a couple of things that you need to remember. One is that you can create templates for just about anything. If you see mental models and frameworks in books, I think that is actually one of the most underrated ways to utilize templates in Mem, especially now with the power of MemChat. The effectiveness of all of this will, of course, depend on the number of notes inside of your knowledge base, as well as the quality of those notes and the quality of your prompts. You'll see that I was very particular about how I used titles, and I typed all of this up in advance to make sure I had the exact title of each template. But in a lot of ways, just as I told you at the beginning of the video, when you're able to apply these templates to MemChat, it really does become like a digital assistant who can do everything from prepare you for meetings to help you plan out projects so that you can focus on the things that matter most. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below.